Namaste Yogis. Welcome to my next class. Hope you're well. So this is going to be a fun, flowing heart opening class where we'll attempt heart opening and shoulder opening from supine, standing and inverted positions. So let's get going. So hopefully you've got a block handy. If not, you could use a rolled up towel, but I'd really try and use the yoga block if you can. So we've done this before, this heart opener. If you've got tight shoulders, I'd just start with the block the lowest way. But if you're confident that your shoulders are quite open, you can start the medium way and just lie down and make sure the shoulder tips are at about the bottom of the block there, bottom edge of the block. And you just lie back, and you could bend the legs, keep the feet flat, you can have the legs straight, or I like to have a bit of a hip opening here as well. You bring the soles of the feet together, and then you can keep your eyes open, or you can take the opportunity to close the eyes and use this as a restorative pose to centre yourself for your practice ahead. So I don't know what kind of day you've had, but you've got the discipline to come and practice yoga, and that can only be a benefit. So just get ready to enjoy yourself for the next hour. This is your time, no matter what other responsibilities you've got. This is your time on the mat for you to make you feel good and to open your heart area to energize you, get rid of stale emotions, stale thoughts, blockages in the area, and start to get in tune with your breathing while we're in this really open position as well. So really breathe deeply right from the bottom of the lungs, breathing in deeply and exhaling fully, reversing it, feeling the lungs deflating, the ribs releasing back down. Just for the last few breaths here, if you want to take the arms a little bit further, you can bring the arms overhead, straight, and really push the shoulder blades down into the block, lift the chest up. Or the next stage is you can clasp the opposite elbows and bring the arms back so you're framing the face, and maybe the forearms come down to the floor. But keep the shoulders moving down the back. Try and keep the forearms fairly parallel. Sorry, not the forearms, the triceps. And feel the chest and the upper back opening even more. Taking a few more breaths here. So remember this position, because we'll be using this position, or we'll be trying to later on when we come to dolphin pose, and maybe come up to the forearm balance. Good, so start to release, and just gently lift up, take the block from under you, just place it around the thigh area, so we're going to use it again in a moment, but we're just going to do dynamic bridge pose. So feet parallel, feet hip distance, and on the inhale lift the hips up, bring the arms back. Exhale, release the hips down and the arms. Just moving with your own breath. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, Exhale down, coordinating movement with the breath. Once more, inhale up. And exhale down. Good. Okay, so I've come off the mat, so just come back onto the mat. And we're going to take supported bridge. So we're going to place the block now at the bottom of the spine on the sacrum. So again, you can choose to have the block lower down. You can have it the medium way. If you just don't feel that open at the moment, you can have it quite low. Or you can have it the tallest way, lift the hips up, place the block under the sacrum and make sure you feel supported. So just adjust as you need to. So once you're up there, you should feel relatively comfortable, supported, no pain anywhere, particularly in the lower back. Good, so just lengthening out the lower back here. And you're welcome to stay here, or if you want to start to work the legs and the hip flexor, the psoas at the front of the thigh, start to slide the left heel along the floor to straighten the leg. Then pick that right knee up towards the chest. Take the hands under that right thigh. Flex the right foot, and then maybe you exhale and extend the right leg. Breathing deeply. Make sure the hips are in alignment, so push that right hip forward slightly. Good. Bend the right leg, place the foot back down. Change sides. Adjust the block if you need to. Slide the right heel along the floor. Bring the left knee into the chest. Take the hands behind the leg. Flex the foot. And exhale, extend the leg up. And bend the left leg, place the foot back down and release, well done. And then just lift the hips up, remove the block, place it out of the way for now. And you can rock and roll along the spine a couple of times to come up. And if you've got long hair, you can pause to put your hair up. Let's come into a malasana. So heels in, toes out. You can have the feet quite wide, hip distance maybe. Work the triceps deeply down, hands to your heart center, and try to push the arms back into the legs and push the shins into the back of the arms. And breathing deeply. On the exhale, really release the breath and contract the lower abdomen, your Mula Bandha, as you exhale. Okay, and then slowly release. Bring the feet to parallel and start to come into a half forward bend. So straighten the legs, lengthen the spine. You can walk the fingertips forward. Try and keep the hips where they are. Imagine they were glued up against the wall. But just keep walking the fingertips forward so you can lengthen the spine. If you need to keep a bend in the legs, of course you can. I'm more concerned here about lengthening the spine. So if you need to bend the legs, bend the legs. Try to pull the front of the ribs in consciously. Good, and then you can start to walk the hands back towards the feet, come into a forward bend. Again, you can keep a slight bend in the knees. Come over into that forward bend, lengthening the spine. Lifting the inner thighs up, so imagine someone was gently pulling the inner thighs up to the ceiling and lengthening the spine. Good, and then start to bend the legs from here Extend the arms forward, straight into wide-legged chair pose, Utkatasana. Weight back in the heels. And then take the hands behind you, clasp the hands, squeeze the palms together and squeeze the shoulder blades down the back. Try not to completely stick the chest out, but lengthen the lower back, lengthen the pelvis, lift the chest. One more breath. And as we exhale, we start to fold forward. Keep the left leg bent, right leg straight. And we twist the body to the right, opening the chest. Keep moving that right hip crease back. So you should feel a stretch in the outer right hip, the right hamstrings. Push the right heel into the floor. Keep the left hip moving into the midline. Good, and release, just fold forward. And again, coming into that wide-legged chair pose, Utkatasana, extend the arms forward first of all. Pull the front of the chest in. And then swing the arms back, clasp the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades, squeeze the palms together. Lift the chest. And exhale, start to fold forward, this time straighten the left leg, bend the right, twist to your right, left, sorry. Keep lengthening the spine and opening the shoulders, squeeze the palms. Keep moving that left hip crease back, left heel firmly on the floor. Good, and release into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, look forward and floating up. Look up at the hands, reach up, maybe open the chest. And release, hands to your heart center. Good, okay, so let's move into the flow. So a couple of Surya Namaskar Bs with a slight variation. So instead of chair pose, let's inhale the arms up, join the palms, reach up, look at your hands and then open the chest. Try not to move completely from the lower back, but lift the chest up and then open. Good, and stand up. And then exhale, hands through the heart center, hinge forward into your forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale, offer your chest forward, half forward bend. Exhale, release down. Let's step back on this first one. Step back to plank. Engage your core muscles, shoulders over the wrists, look forward, strong plank. And exhale, knees, chest and chin. Keep the elbows in against the ribs, chest forward. And then release into Cobra Pose, Bhujangasana. Tops of the feet down, lift the chest forward and open. And then lift the hips up and back, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Good, so just hold here for a few breaths. Lengthening the spine, lifting the hips high. Releasing the heels towards the floor. Push the inner palms into the floor to help you externally rotate the shoulders. Good, and then inhale, raise your right leg, leading with the inner seam of the thigh, and look forward, step the right foot forward. Heel to heel alignment, inhale up to your first warrior, warrior one. So moving that right hip back, left hip forward, align the hips. Maybe look up at the hands, join the palms. Good, exhale, release, hands down, step back to plank. Knees, chest and chin down. And then release into Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Lengthen the lower back, open the chest. And lift up, using your core muscles to pick you up into that downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up, leading with that inner thigh. Look forward, step the left foot forward, release the back foot, heel to heel alignment. Inhale up, Virabhadrasana 1. Left hip back, right hip forward, aligning the hips, lengthen the pelvis. Maybe you join the palms, look up, reach up. And exhale, bring the hands down, step back to plank. Move through a Vinyasa, knees, chest, chin or Chaturanga this time. Cobra or upward facing dog. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana, hold for 5 breaths. Deep inhaling, exhaling. Inhale 2, exhale. Inhale 3, exhale. Inhale 4, exhale. Last time, inhaling for 5, exhaling. Good, and look forward. Start to prepare to come forward to the top, either stepping or lightly hopping the feet forward on the exhale. Half forward bend, extend the spine, and then release into that forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale, floating up, reaching up. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Moving on. Inhaling up. Join the palms, reach up. Maybe you start to open the chest. Lifting out of the lower back. Lifting and opening the chest to the ceiling. Inhale, back up. Exhale, hinging forward. Release into that forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale onto the fingertips, half forward bend, look forward, lengthen. Exhale, releasing down, preparing to step or jump back to Chaturanga. And Cobra or upward facing dog. Open the chest. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Good, and raising your right leg. Look forward, step the right foot forward. Release the back foot, heel to heel alignment. Inhale up, Warrior 1. Look up at the hands, reaching up, right hip pulls back, left hip forward. Outer edge of the left foot pushes firmly into the floor so that back leg is strong. And then take the hands behind you. Squeeze your palms, inhale, lift the chest. And start to exhale, extend the body forward, coming to the inside of that right thigh. Keep reaching the chest forward and then release into that humble warrior, bringing the arms away from the back. Keep the back leg strong to find your stabilization. Squeeze the shoulders together to bring the arms further away. Good, and then release. Hands down, step back to plank. And knees, chest, chin or Chaturanga all the way to the floor. Good. And once you're down, right forearm down. Keep the chest lifted. Pick the left foot up. Reach behind you for the foot. And then gently squeeze that foot in towards the hip. Keeping the left quadricep firmly pushing into the floor. Push that right forearm down, lift the chest. So feeling a big opening in the hip flexor, the psoas, the quadricep on that left leg, which is all very important for moving into these deeper back bends. And release. Change sides, left forearm down, pick the right foot up, reach behind you, squeeze that foot in to the hip. Keep the chest lifted, keep pushing the left forearm down. Right, top of the right thigh, the quadricep is pushing into the floor. And release, well done. And then hands by the chest, cobra or upward facing. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Good. And then we're raising the left leg. Look forward, step the left foot forward, heel to heel alignment. Inhale up, warrior one. Outer edge of the right foot, firmly pushing into the mat, giving you that stabilisation in the back leg. Left hip moves back in alignment. Exhale, release the hands down, clasp the hands, inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, start to hinge the body forward. Come to the inside of that left thigh. Keep lengthening the body forward and then release. Bring the arms away from the back. Humble warrior. Good, and release, hands down. Step back to plank, knees, chest, chin or chaturanga to the floor. Okay, so we're coming into that quadricep stretch again. This time you might want to come onto the right hand, so you lift the chest higher, otherwise just stay on the right forearm. Pick the left foot up, reach back, and you squeeze that foot in, trying to keep that left quadricep down. Keep the chest lifted. Good, and release. And change sides. Pick the right foot up. Reach behind you. Squeezing the foot in. Top of the right hip and quadricep pushing down to really get that opening in the psoas. Good, and release. And hands by the chest. Come into a simple cobra or upward facing. Pull the chest through and then lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Using this as your restorative pose, taking deep breaths. If you're using Ujjayi breathing, start to bring that in. So you're closing the back of the throat as if you were whispering. Just slowing the breath down but energizing the breath. Preparing to come to the top of the mat. If you're jumping, you bend the legs deeply and hop. And release. Forward bend. Inhale, floating the body up. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Good. So mixed Surya C, Surya Namaste C here. So inhaling the arms up, reaching up. Maybe open the chest, lift out of the lower back. Open. Exhale, release and hinge forward.
Come into Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward, half forward bend. And exhale, step the left foot all the way back, dropping that left knee to the floor. Top of the foot comes down. Inhale, up. Okay, so it's important here to not completely drop the body forward, but bring the body back over the hips. We're trying to get the opening in the top of the left psoas, top of the left thigh here. So push the top of the left foot into the floor, isometrically draw the feet together to stabilise the hips. Try to lengthen the pelvis, lower the pelvis towards the floor without just collapsing the body. And then take the hands behind you, squeeze the palms. Maybe you start to open the chest here. Keep isometrically drawing those feet together. Good, and release. Hands down, lift the back knee, step back to plank. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Good. And from here we're going to raise the right leg. Bend the leg and open the hip. Taking care to move the left hip back. Lift that right knee high, pulling the front of the body in towards the spine, protecting the back. And then importantly, we lift the left heel, we start to shift the weight forward so the left shoulder stacks over the left wrist, and then we step the right foot all the way over. Lift the hips up high, reach that right arm back, flip the dog. Come back to Karasana. Opening the chest. And then reach that right arm up. Turn back over into downward facing dog. Good. And raise your right leg again. Look forward, right knee to right tricep as high as you can get it. Exhale, lift up and back. Option for an arm balance now. Bring that right knee high onto the right tricep. Once you get there, you can put the foot down and just adjust to get it as high as possible. Start to bend the elbows, come forward. Maybe you come into that Ekapada, Kundalini-asana. And release. Cobra or upward facing. And lift up and back. Downward facing dog. Again, using this as your restorative pose. Get in tune with the breathing if you found it challenging. And preparing to come forward. Stepping or jumping. Exhale, release into forward bend. Inhale, floating the body up. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Second side. Inhaling. Maybe lift the chest. And release, hinge forward. Coming into forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale onto the fingertips, offer the chest forward. Half forward bend. And exhale, we step the right foot all the way back, as long as you can. Drop the back knee, top of the right foot down, and we inhale up. Again, same principles. We want to open the front of the right hip. So we don't want to lean forward. We want to bring the body back. Keep the pelvis, the pelvic girdle stable. So we imagine you're moving that left foot back and right foot forward, isometrically drawing them together, and this will
stabilise this whole hip area. And then take the hands back, squeeze the palms together, inhale, start to lift the chest. Try not to just throw the head back. You keep looking forward so you don't overstrain the back of the neck, but keep lifting the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades, and then eventually maybe you can start to look back more. And release, good. Hands down, lift the back knee, step back to plank, knees, chest, chin or chaturanga, cobra or upward facing, and lift up and back, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Good. And this time we raise the left leg, we bend the leg, open the hip, lifting that left knee high. Important to pull the front of the body and engage the core muscles, supporting the back. Try to take the back bend out of this pose. Keep moving that right hip crease back. And then we start to raise the right heel. Shift the weight forward so the right wrist, shoulder stacks over the right wrist, and then step the left foot behind you. Lift the hips. Open the chest, reach that left arm back, and then reach that left arm up, carefully turn over into downward facing dog. Good. And then raise your left leg. Look forward, left knee, left tricep. Exhale, release up and back. Maybe option for the arm balance. We bring that left knee forward. You can bring the foot down and adjust so you get the inner thigh as high up on the tricep as you can. And then bend the elbows, look forward. Maybe extend the legs into that arm balance. Have a play. Cobra. And then push back. Downward facing dog. Okay, so just drop the knees wide. Sit back on the heels for a moment. Take a few restorative breaths. Let's just have one more go at that arm balance, because it's quite an advanced arm balance and we haven't warmed up the legs that much, so let's maybe just have one more go. So it might help if I face forward. So from your mat, just make sure I get everything out of the way. Stepping your right foot to the outer edge of the hands. Hands flat, lift the back knee. And now to get successfully into the arm balance, you need to think about squeezing that inner thigh up against the arm like we did when we were in that malasana at the beginning. And we have to bend the arms, start to tip the body weight forward, keep pushing that inner thigh into the right arm, and then maybe you can extend. And release. Okay, take a breath. Have a go on the other side. There's always two sides to have fun with these poses. Okay, so step your left foot wide and work the left tricep deeply against that inner thigh. Lift the back knee. Start to bend the arms, look forward. You need to shift the weight forward, keep squeezing that inner leg, and then maybe you straighten
the legs
into the arm balance. Okay, so I hope that went well. Let's continue with the flow. Coming to the top of the mat. Inhale, reaching up. Look up at the hands. Exhale, hinge forward. Release into that forward bend. Inhale onto the fingertips, half forward bend. Exhale, preparing to step or float back to chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Inhale the right leg high. Look forward, step the right foot forward. Heel to heel alignment. Inhale, we come up. Warrior one. So just making sure that right hip is moving back, left hip forward, back leg is strong. Reach the arms up. Turn the palms forward and bring the right hand behind the left. Just bring the head through the arms. Try to keep the shoulders down the back. And then we just start to pull the front of the body in, but lean back. So you start to open the chest to the ceiling. Keep the shoulders moving down the back. Good, and release. Turn to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. So you might need to step a bit wider with the feet. Heel to arch alignment. Really extend the arms away from the chest. Body nice and straight over the hips. And we're opening that front hip. So again, the outer edge of the left foot firmly pushing into the floor, so you feel that inner arch on the left foot lifting. That back leg is really strong. Keep checking your alignment. Pelvis is long. We're trying to bring that front thigh parallel to the floor without sticking the bottom out, so we're pulling that right hip in and back. And then lean forward slightly, turn the palm up, lift and open, reverse warrior. Exhale, modified side angle, elbow to knee, left arm up and along by the ear. And we're going to flow between those two poses. So inhale, reverse warrior, open the chest. Exhale, modified side angle, Parsvakonasana. Inhale, reverse, open each time. Exhale, side angle, keeping the right hip moving into the midline. Once more, inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Good, and then look down, bring the left hand down. We're coming to side plank, so turn onto the outer edge of the left foot. Left shoulder over left wrist, we stack the legs, lift the hips, look up at the right hand, and then lift that right foot, step it behind you, lift the hips, open the chest. See if you can move a little bit deeper into the pose now. Really open. Good, and release. Turn back to downward facing dog. And breathe. Come forward into plank. Knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing. And tuck the toes, lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Ready for the next side. Inhaling the left leg up. Look forward, step the left foot forward.
heel to heel alignment. Inhale up, warrior one. Move the pelvis down and back. Turn the palms forward, this time left hand behind the right. Head through the arms but keeping the shoulders down the back. Start to open the chest, but keeping the ribs pulled in, especially the lower ribs. Good, and release, turning into warrior two. Maybe step the feet a bit wider, heel to arch alignment. Releasing into the pose, finding your deepest pose. So outer edge of the right foot this time, firmly pushing into the mat. Inner arch on the right foot lifting. Try to bring that left thigh parallel to the mat. And try to pull the left hip back into the midline. Really lengthen the arms. So they're not just flopping, but they are strong. They are your wings. And you're breathing deeply, body is nice and straight over the hips. We're not leaning forward yet, anyway. Good. Okay, so now we can lean forward slightly, turn the palm up, release into reverse warrior. Opening the chest, lifting out of that left thigh. And exhale into modified side angle. Left elbow to inner knee. Bring that right arm along by the ear. Keep the hips moving into the midline. Inhale, release, reverse warrior. Keeping the legs the same position. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, reverse. Each time opening the chest a little bit deeper. Exhale, side angle. Last time, inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Looking down, bring the right hand down, shoulder over the wrist, outer edge of the right foot, and we stack the legs into that side plank Vashisthasana. Flex the feet, lift the hips, and then pick that left foot up, step it behind you, and lift the hips, open the chest into that Kamatkarasana, pushing that right hand into the floor to open the chest. Good. And release back into Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And take a nice deep breath. Sight out of the mouth. Once more, inhale through the nose. Exhale, breathe it out. Good, and then preparing to come forward. Lift the heels. Exhale, and lightly hop or step. Release into forward bend. Inhale, floating the body up. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Good. Okay, so just make sure you've got your block handy for this next sequence, just in case you might need it. Standing at the top of your mat. Inhale, extend the arms. Exhale, hinge forward. Release into that forward bend. Inhale, half forward bend. Exhale, release, and preparing, stepping or jumping. Chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing. And lift up and back. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Good. And raise your right leg. Look forward, step the right foot forward. Drop the back knee.
Inhale and come up, bringing the body back over the pelvis. And just bracing yourself with the right hand on the right knee, find your balance, and then pick the left foot up, reach behind you, and we're coming to a quad stretch, so we're going to bring that left foot in towards the left hip, but we keep opening the chest. If you're a little more advanced, maybe you can bring that foot into the left elbow, crook, raise the right arm, reach back, clasp the fingertips, keep opening the chest into that mermaid variation. Good, and release. Okay, so slide that left knee back, straighten the right leg, flex the right foot, coming into half splits or option for full Hanumanasana. So if you've got really tight hamstrings, just stay fairly upright and just keep looking forward past the foot, lengthening the spine. So obviously I'm not there watching you, so it doesn't matter where you are, but as long as you're feeling a hamstring lengthening for your body. Next stage would be to walk the hands forward and to lengthen the spine and the body over that right leg. But you would keep pushing or flexing the right foot. Imagine it was pushing into a wall. And finally, if you're working towards full Hanumanasana, maybe walk that right foot forward a few inches if it's not stuck on your mat. And importantly, you start to walk the left foot back. Keep the chest lifted, and you just work with your breath, trying to keep the hips in alignment so that right hip moves back, left inner hip crease moves down. Maybe you come into the full splits. And final option here, option for a quad stretch here. You pick the left foot up, reach behind you for the foot, and get this clasp so the elbow turns up, maybe. And my foot's too slippery, but that is an option there. Okay, so if you're in that full splits, lift up halfway. Okay, so we're all back in the half splits, and then we're going to just move that left calf muscle out of the way and sit down. So we're in half Virasana. So I should immediately say, if there's any pain in your left knee, you must take the block and sit the hips up on a block. So immediately that takes the pressure off the left knee. And you won't be able to come so deeply into the pose we're doing, but that doesn't matter because we don't need to injure the knee. So I'm just going to just rearrange myself on the mat so I have some room behind me. Because instead of folding forward, we're going to come backwards. So if you feel fairly comfortable, start to walk the hands back. Keep pushing the hips forward. Keep pushing that left shin into the floor. Come down in stages, and if you're feeling okay, you can come all the way down into that supine half Virasana pose. Again, we're opening. The aim is to open the front of that left hip crease, the psoas muscles. Keep pushing the left shin down as much as you can. Okay, so you can just stay here because this is plenty, Or you can bend your right leg, place the sole of the foot down. See how that feels. Just get used to that. And now, if you are feeling very open and energetic, we can try to bring the hands down by the ears with the elbows pointing up. So the elbows should feel energetic. And then there's the option to start slightly lift the hips, come onto the crown of the head, and then maybe you push up into that variation of Urdhva Dhanurasana. Really open the chest. Push the hands down. Good, and then carefully release back down. Everyone extend the right leg out in front of you. Come onto the forearms and carefully come up. Okay, if you've got long hair, put your hair back up. And from here we're going to transition to standing splits. So we can bend the right leg again, lift the hips, fingertips forward, and then in one motion we lift that left leg. You can stay in standing L pose, flexing the foot, or start to walk the hands back. Lift that left leg high, folding the body over the right leg. Keeping that right hip moving into the midline. And the variation, start to look forward, bend the left leg. See if you can reach behind you with your right hand for that left ankle and push the ankle into the hand. Extend the chest, keep lifting that left knee higher. Open the chest. Good. And release. Left foot down, inhale. Stand up. Turn to the side of your mat. So angle your right foot so it's parallel to the long edge of the mat. We're coming into half moon, but we're going to try to balance with the arms, so you need to keep that right hip moving back. So preparing, extend that right arm, keep moving the right hip back, and maybe you come into the balance. Good, and then fingertips down, standing L again. Good. Okay, so just release for a moment. So we've got option now for kicking up into a handstand, but we've got the wall there. And you can just play around with a few kick-ups, you don't have to come all the way up. If you're a little bit more confident with handstand, there's the option to come into an inverted backbend with scorpion. So you need to be a little bit away from the wall, so you've got room to bring the feet to the wall and to bring the chest through, bend the legs, come into that scorpion pose if you can visualise it. So I've got my mat probably in about the right position to the wall. So as long as you haven't got any furniture around you, you've got clear space, you should be okay. So maybe I'll just move my mat a few inches closer. And we bring the hands down, keeping the shoulders over the wrist. Walk the feet back. I'm going to kick up with my left leg. Keep looking forward. Take a few light hops. Okay, so keep looking forward, my feet are at the wall. You can just stay practicing with handstand, but I'm going to start to bring my chest through, bend the legs, and see if I can balance. And then release. Good. So how did that go? So obviously You can pause it there if you want to play a little bit more with that, but we can try once more on the other side. Okay, so when you're ready, coming to the top of your mat again. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, release into that forward bend. Inhale, offer the chest forward. Exhale, hands down, stepping or floating back. Chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing. And tuck the toes. Lift the hips. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Inhale the left leg up. Step the left foot forward, release the back knee to the floor. Inhale, come up. Rest the left hand on the left knee. Body comes back. It's not collapsing forward. Pull the front of the body in. Try to release the hips towards the floor. And then once you've found your balance, we pick the right foot up, reach behind you with that right hand, and we're squeezing the right foot in. Keeping the chest forward, keep the chest lifted. And maybe you come to that mermaid variation, foot to the crook of the elbow, raise the left arm, drop the hand back, reach the fingertips together. Open the chest. And release, good. Okay, so coming into Ardha Hanumanasana, straighten the left leg, flex the foot, that half splits. So again, if your left hamstring is tight, stay nice and upright. If you've got a couple of blocks handy, you can always rest the hands on the blocks. Nice straight spine. Next stage, you can walk the hands forward, lengthen the body over the left leg. And if you want to work towards full Hanumanasana, start to walk the right foot back, working with the breath, being mindful. Does one side feel different to the other? Which I'm sure it probably does for most people. You have a more open side. If you want that quad stretch variation on this side, go ahead, you pick the right foot up, reach back for the foot. Okay, and then if you're in full splits, lift up into that half splits. I'm just going to come forward a little bit on my mat again. And we're moving that right calf muscle out of the way. And we sit down, top of the right foot is flat on the mat. Again, if your right knee is uncomfortable, sit on that block to take the tension out of the right knee. Making sure you feel comfortable, you can just stay upright. You're still getting a quad stretch and a psoas opening. Otherwise, start to come down in stages into that supine Ardha Virasana. Being mindful to keep that right shin pushing into the floor, right hip moves forward, and taking some of the exaggerated curve out of the lumbar spine. The next stage, maybe bend the left leg, place the sole of the foot flat, seeing how that feels. If that feels okay and you want to stay there, that's fine. If you want to take it a stage further, bring the hands flat by the ears, elbows pointing upwards. And then with intention we lift the hips, come onto the crown of the head. Maybe we push all the way up into that Urdhva Dhanurasana variation.
Good. And release back down. Everyone straighten the left leg. Using your forearms, push yourself back up. We're going to transition into that standing L or standing splits. So bend the left leg again. Lift the hips. Come forward in one motion into that standing L pose. Right leg lifted, foot flexed. If you're coming to standing splits, walk the hands back. Lift that right leg high. Lengthen the body forward and down over that left leg. And variation, lower the right leg slightly, look forward. Bend the right leg, reach back with the left hand for that right ankle. And see if you can push the ankle into the hand. Lift the chest, lift that right knee. Good. And release. Slowly stand up. Okay. So this time turn your left foot parallel to the long edge of the mat. Ready for that Ardha Chandrasana with the balance. So moving, being careful to move the left hip back. Raise the right leg. Find your balance. Release the fingertips down, standing L, and then release the right foot and stand up. So one more try if you want to with a few kick-ups to handstand if you're still practicing that. Just see what it feels like to take some weight on the hands. Doesn't matter if you don't come all the way up. If you do and you want to move to that scorpion variation, give it a go. So come towards the wall, hands down, your shoulders over the wrists. Decide which leg you're kicking up with and lightly kick up. Look forward and start to melt the chest forward. Slide the feet down. Melt the shoulders down. Find your balance. And then release. Good. Well done. Okay, so I'm going to bring my mat all the way to the wall and face away from the wall. I'm going to take my 2 blocks and wedge them up against the wall. Now you don't have to do this. If you're not that comfortable or you can't come up into full Urdhva Dhanurasana yet, you can just come up to a bridge pose. Again, like we did at the beginning. You can either have supported bridge pose with a block under the sacrum or just free bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. Or you can just practice Urdhva Dhanurasana. If you want to practice Urdhva Dhanurasana maybe slightly deeper, you can have your 2 blocks wedged up against the wall. So choosing your options. So if you're not using the blocks and you're just coming to bridge, you have the feet parallel hip distance. You bring the feet up close towards the hips so your fingertips can reach down to the back of the heels. You would inhale the hips up, link the hands underneath you, push the arms into the floor and work your bridge pose there. So you're trying to lengthen the spine so the knees come forward, almost lengthening the lower back, but then you can lift the chest,
higher. Okay, so that's your bridge pose. You can come into ordinary Urdhva Dhanurasana, so I'm assuming you know how to come into that. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, bring the head back close to the wall between the two blocks. Bring the hands onto the blocks. But once they're there, make sure the elbows are still pointing upwards. The purpose of the blocks is because your hands are higher, it enables you to really lift that chest, dome that chest in that inverted dome, and come into a much deeper pose. So if you want to try that, feet parallel, feet close to the hips, lift the hips, come onto the crown of the head, see how that feels, and then maybe you push the hands down into the block and you really work on squeeze the inner thighs together, push the hands into the block, straighten the arms, open the chest, curl open. Good, and then slowly release, whichever version you're in. And just bring the knees together and feet wide, just as a gentle counter pose for the back. Take a few breaths here, and then we'll just come up once more. So you've got your choices: bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, Urdhva Dhanurasana, or Urdhva Dhanurasana with the blocks. So if you're using the blocks, get into position, elbows pointing up. Everyone inhale, lift the hips, and then push up into that pose. If you're using the blocks, push the hands into the blocks, lift the chest, curl open, squeeze the inner thighs. Exhale, release down, and again just feet wide, drop the knees together. Take a few restorative breaths. Okay, well done. So just roll to your right side, gently push yourself up. Okay, so one last bit of effort, another inverted chest opening pose, heart opening. We're going to try forearm balance into scorpion. Now, if you're not used to arm balances, you don't have to come into that full pose, obviously, so don't think, oh no, and switch the lesson off, because we can practice dolphin pose, we can practice the preparation. There's always the preparation. You don't just suddenly leap into a pose with no practice. Obviously you work at it and work at it and practice until you build the confidence. Okay, so I'll just move my blocks out of the way. So let's everyone come into dolphin pose first of all. So forearms down, shoulders over the elbows, push the forearms down, tuck the toes, and then lift the hips and move the chest back towards the legs. So it looks like downward facing dog. You're just on the forearms and you keep moving the chest back, lifting the hips high. Okay, and holding, seeing how that feels. Keep the integrity with the arms, the forearms, and then gently drop down to the knees and sit up. Okay, so as I say, you can keep practicing dolphin. If you feel more confident, you can take a few steps forward with the feet and maybe just raise one leg and see how that feels. But all the time, there's almost this kind of rounding feeling with the shoulders. so that you've got this strength, you're pushing the forearms down, because if I just show you, if you just collapse, you will never come up into the forearm balance because you've got no strength there. So you almost need to round the upper back to widen the shoulder blades, push the forearms down to keep that integrity. That's the feeling you're aiming for. Okay, so if you want to kick up into forearm balance, same principle as with the handstand, you need to be a little bit away from the wall so that we can try to go into that scorpion by melting the chest forward and down, and you can start to bend your legs so you come into this nice scorpion position with the spine. So you don't want to be too close to the wall. So I'm going to bring my forearms down, push the forearms down, lift the hips, and now you start to walk the feet forward so the hips come over, and then you raise one leg, keep looking forward, and light hop. Okay, so once your feet are on the wall, start to melt the chest forward, bend the legs, find the balance. Good. And then release. How did that go? Good. Okay, so again, if you're at home, you can press pause, maybe play around a little bit more. So I'm going to leave that there for today, and we'll move into some counter poses and move into relaxation. So first of all, let's lie down and come into a twist, a supine twist with a hip opening. So keep the legs bent, cross the right leg over the left, and see if you can bring that double wrap into the leg so the right foot comes behind the left calf. Clasp the hands around that right knee, draw the knees in towards you, and then bring your arms out to the side. Using your core, slowly start to bring the knees over to your left. And then once you've found your position, you can always look back over your right shoulder and enjoy this sensation, this gentle twisting, counterposing for all the back bends that we've been doing. And inhale back to centre, uncross the legs and change sides. So cross the left leg over the right. Find that double wrap if you can with the legs. Hands to the left knee, gently easing the knees in towards you. And then extend the arms to the side, and you start to use your core, engage your core, pull the stomach muscles in as you gently start to drop the knees over to your right. And then you can look over your left shoulder, just enjoying that feeling of releasing, full release for the spine. And inhale back to centre, uncross the legs, and bring both knees into the chest. Okay, so if you've got room here, take hold of your big toes and extend your legs into this V shape. supine V shape, trying to keep the lower back on the floor. Flex the feet, legs really active. And then let's have a bit of fun. You'll probably need to bring your legs a bit closer together. Let's see if we can rock and roll up. Come up to a balanced position. Into this wide V shape. Chest lifted. Good. And then release. Hopefully you're still with me. And I will face you. Bring the legs out wide. And just bring one hand in front of you, one hand behind you. Just lift the hips, shift forward a little bit. And then if your back is really rounded, again, use one of the blocks. Sit up on the blocks to give your hips a bit of height so you can keep the back nice and long. And then keeping the feet flexed, we just start to walk the fingertips forward, keeping the back straight, looking forward. And then you'll know when you've reached your limit without compromising the pose. So just if you're just here, that's absolutely fine. That's right for your body today. If you can go a bit further, keep the legs active. So keep pushing the thighs into the floor, keep the feet flexed, toes pointing up. Lengthening the spine. Taking deep breaths. And then slowly start to walk the hands back up. Good. And just bend the legs. And let's just drop the knees over to the sides, just easing out the hips. Okay. And then for relaxation today, let's come into Viparita Karani, which is simply legs up the wall. So you need to slide up as close to the wall as you can, and then turn around and start to lift your legs up. Just wiggle your bottom in a bit closer so it's really touching the wall. Flop the feet out to the side. You can drop the arms out to the side. So after all that heart opening and back bending, this is just a really nice position to release the full spine into the floor. And it's also an inversion as well, because the legs of the feet are higher than the heart, so it's allowing the blood to release and the lymphatic system to start to drain. So just enjoy this pose as a final relaxation. If you feel comfortable, close the eyes and just be still. Just let your breathing come naturally. So if you are finding it hard to keep your mind still, just let your mind focus on the sensations in your body. So how has this practice made you feel? Because we've done all this heart opening, chest opening, sometimes that can bring the emotions to the forefront, particularly poignant emotions. So you might feel quite emotional, you might feel really energized and open, But just recognise how you're feeling, how has this practice made you feel, and just let your mind focus on those sensations, those feelings, rather than just letting it carry away with its usual mind chatter. Or just simply focus on your breath. Okay, so if you want to stay here for longer, stay here for as long as you like. Otherwise, just bringing your awareness back into the room. Start to deepen your breathing. Just notice if your legs are starting to feel nice and light now. How is your body feeling? Slowly start to open your eyes, come fully back into the room. And then with care, minding any furniture, bending the legs, roll over onto one side and slowly come up to a seated position. Sitting in cross-legged Sukhasana or half lotus or full lotus. And let's just practice one Om together to seal and finish the practice. So join your hands at your heart center, take a deep breath in. Om Shanti. Namaste Yogis. Thank you so much for practicing, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.